This video is about order of operations. We're going to evaluate expressions using the order of operations. So as you remember from yesterday, there's 4 steps to the order of operation. The first step is abbreviated with a P, which stands for our parentheses or any type of grouping symbol. The second step is E, which is exponents. The third step, we multiply and divide from left to right. And the final step is that we add or subtract from left to right. So let's use the order of operations to complete the following problems. In number 1, we have 100 minus 40 divided by 2 squared. 2 squared is an exponent because this 2 right here represents an exponent. So this is my first step. Now, 2 squared, remember you can just do 2 times 2, or in your calculator you can hit 2, and then the squared button is the 5th one up on the left. So 2 squared is 4. So now we have 100 minus 40 divided by 4. Our next step then is to see if there's any multiplication or division. There is a division. So 40 divided by 4 is 10. So we have 100 minus 10. And now we can subtract and get 90. Number 2, 48 divided by the quantity 10 minus 6 minus 17. So in number 2, we have a set of parentheses 10 minus 7. Now, although 10 minus 6, although 10 minus 6 is subtraction, because it's in parentheses, this is now the first thing we're going to do. So 10 minus 6 is 4. So we have 48 divided by 4 minus 17. 48 divided by 4 is our next step because it's division. So 48 divided by 4 is 12 minus 17. 12 minus 17 then is 5. In number 3, we have the quantity 12 times 3 divided by 4 minus 4 squared plus 5 times 9. So first, again, we're going to do our parentheses, and we're going to do the operations in order from left to right. So first I have 12 times 3, which is 36, and then divide by 4. So once I've done everything from that parenthesis, I now have 9, and I can rewrite everything else from the problem. Minus 4 squared plus 5 times 9. Next, I want to see that there's an exponent. So I can use my calculator again. 4 squared is 16. So I have 9 minus 16 plus 5 times 9. Next, I want to see if there's any multiplication or division. And we have 5 times 9. So 9 minus 16 plus 45. And now I can do my addition and subtraction from left to right. So first I'm going to do 9 minus 16, which is negative 7, plus 45, which gets me positive 38. Number 4, negative 3 times the quantity 2 minus 4 squared plus 14 divided by the quantity 5 plus 2. Here we have 2 sets of parentheses, and because there's 2 sets that are separate, we can do them both at the same time. So we have negative 3 times, we're going to do negative 2 minus 4. Because this becomes a negative number, I'm going to leave it in parentheses still because it has an exponent. Plus 14 divide by 7 because 5 plus 2 is 7. Now, I see an exponent, negative 2. This is where you have to be careful. In your calculator, because it's a negative number, you need to use parentheses. So open parenthesis, negative is down here at the bottom next to the decimal point. So I have negative 2, close parentheses, and now I can do my exponent. Make sure that that negative is enclosed in the parentheses or it's going to give you the wrong answer. So I get 4. So now I have negative 3 times 4 plus 14 divided by 7. The next step is to multiply. Negative 12 plus 14 divided by 7. The division is my next step. Negative 12 plus 2. So my final answer would be negative 10. Number 5, I have 14 times 2. over 8 plus 7 squared minus 22. So now I have a fraction with a numerator on the top and a denominator on the bottom. So I'm going to go through the order of operations still. And first I see that there's a 7 squared. So that's my first step. So 14 times 2 over 8 plus 7 squared, which is 49, minus 22. Now in the numerator I have multiplication, so 14 times 2 is 28. On the bottom I'm just going to rewrite for now. And then I can do my order of operations. So 8 plus 49 is 57, so I have 28 over 57 minus 22, and then I can subtract, so I get 28 over 35. Now the last step to this problem is that we need to reduce our fraction. So if I notice that there's a greatest common factor of 7, I can divide the numerator and denominator by 7 and get 4/5. Also, I can use a calculator. I can type in 28 divided by 35. It will give me a decimal, and then I can hit the third button from the top in the left column, which says math, and hit enter, enter, and it'll give you my fraction of 4/5. Number 6, we have parentheses 6 minus 3 squared plus 1 over 5 times 6, parentheses 2 plus 4. So first I'm going to do my parentheses set. So I have a parenthesis of 6 minus 3, which is 3 squared plus 1 in the numerator. And in the denominator, we have 5 times 2 plus 4, which is 6. Our next step is the exponent in the numerator. So 3 squared is 9. 9 plus 1 over 5 times 6. Next, I'm going to multiply in the denominator. So 9 plus 1 over 30. And then my last step is to add the 9 and the 1, which gets me 10 over 30. So if I realize that they're both divisible by 10, I can reduce my fraction to 1/3. If I'm not sure again, I can use a calculator. 10 divide by 30, get a decimal, and then hit math, enter, enter, and I get 1/3. Now let's look at some problems that have variables in them, and we need to substitute in before we can evaluate. When you are substituting, it's important to use parentheses for whatever we're substituting in. So in number 6, we have 16 plus 9k when k is 9. So we're going to substitute 9 in for k. Everything else stays the same. So I have 16 plus 9 parentheses 9 because I substitute that 9 in for k. And now I'm going to do order of operations. So my first step would be to multiply. 9 times 9 is 81. So we get 16 plus 81, and then add them together, and we get 97. In number 7, we have 30h divided by the quantity 2 plus h over 10 squared minus 80. So when h is 2, we're going to put 2 in for both h's in this problem. And so when I rewrite the problem, I have 30 times 2 divided by parentheses 2 plus 2 over 10 squared minus 80. So remember that my first step is parentheses. So I have 2 plus 2, which is now 4. And I'm going to rewrite everything else. My next step, make sure that you're looking at the numerator and the denominator of the fraction, is that I have an exponent. So 10 squared is 100. So we have 30 times 2 divided by 4 over 100 minus 80. Then in the numerator, I need to do my multiplication and division. So 30 times 2 is 60. And then I'm going to also divide by 4, so I get 15 over 100 minus 80. So I'm going to subtract from my last step 15 over 100. Both of these numbers can be reduced by 5. So my fraction reduces to 3/4. I can also type 15 divided by 20 into the calculator and then hit math, enter, enter, and get the fraction of 3/4. Number 8, x squared divided by 2 plus 7 when x is 4. So we have x is 4. We're going to substitute 4 into the equation. Remember to use parentheses when you substitute. So 4 squared divided by 2 plus 7. 4 squared is 16, which is my first step because it was an exponent. Divide by 2 plus 7. Next step, I'm going to divide. 16 divided by 2 is 8. And I'm going to add for my last step, so my final answer is 15.